Inflation, political polarization, global conflict. It feels like the world is breaking apart at the seams. It feels chaotic, random, and terrifying. But what if it isn't random at all? What if this chaos is a predictable mechanical process, a cycle that has repeated for all of recorded history?
This 80-year clock
One
is how I see
investor,
markets.
Ray
You should
Dalio,
too.
the founder
It
of
doesn't
the
look at
world's
one-year charts.
largest hedge fund, believes it is. He doesn't look at one-year charts. He looks
Calls
at an
this final,
80-year
dangerous
clock.
phase.
And that clock, he says, is about to strike midnight. He calls this final, dangerous phase the Great Unraveling.
Part 1. The 80-Year Machine. To understand what's happening now, you have to understand Dalio's machine. He calls it the long-term debt cycle. History isn't just one event after another. It's a machine, a cycle that repeats. We all know the short-term debt cycle. It lasts 5 to 10 years. The economy booms, it busts, like in 2008. The Federal Reserve cuts interest rates, and it booms again. We lived through this a dozen times. But beneath that, a much larger, more powerful cycle is at work, the long-term debt cycle. It lasts 50 to 100 years, and you only see it end once in your lifetime, if you're lucky. A new long-term debt cycle always begins after a great conflict. For us, it was 1945. World War II ended, a new world order began, with the US dollar as king, backed by gold. Debt was low. Phase 2. Credit expands. People borrow to buy houses, cars. The nation prospers, the 50s and 60s. Phase 3. The bubble. Debt starts growing faster than income. We break the link to gold, 1971. Speculation takes over, the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Phase 4. The crash. The debt becomes too large. The bubble bursts. This was 2008. Normally, in a short-term cycle, the Fed just cuts interest rates. But in 2008, they hit zero. Phase 5. The final tool. When interest rates are at zero, the only tool left is the printing press. The government calls it quantitative easing. It's the final, desperate act of the cycle. Phase 6. The unraveling. The printed money floods the system, causing inflation. It devalues the currency. It creates massive social and political conflict. The system breaks down. Ray Dalio's argument is terrifyingly simple. We are in Phase 5, transitioning to Phase 6. The 80-year cycle that began in 1945 is now ending.
Part 2. The Perfect Storm. An 80-year debt cycle ending is a crisis on its own. But Dalio's core thesis is that, for the first time since the 1930s, 3 massive world-changing cycles are peaking at the exact same time. It is a perfect storm. First is Wave 1, the debt and money cycle. As we just saw, we are at zero. Interest rates can't go lower. The government has over $35 trillion in debt. They must print money just to pay the interest. This is the end of the line. Printing money is no longer a solution. It is the problem. It creates inflation, and it destroys the trust that holds the currency together. Next is Wave 2, the internal conflict cycle. This wave is caused by Wave 1. When the central bank prints trillions of dollars, where does it go? It doesn't go to you. It goes into assets. This creates the largest wealth gap in history. The asset owners become billionaires. The non-asset owners, the wage earners, are left behind, struggling with inflation. This isn't just an economic problem, it's a political one. The gap creates anger. It creates populism. The left attacks the rich. The right attacks the elite. Both sides feel the system is rigged against them, and they are both right. This, Dalio says, is exactly what happened in the 1930s. Finally, Wave 3, the external conflict cycle. This is the big one. An 80-year cycle ending almost always coincides with a change in the global world order. A dominant but declining empire, the United States, is challenged by a new, rising empire, China. The dominant power is over-indebted and internally divided. The rising power has built its economic and military strength. This is the Thucydides trap. It's the most dangerous moment in geopolitics, and it is happening right now, for the first time since the U.S. surpassed Britain. Trade wars become tech wars, become capital wars, and, historically, often become real wars. Part 3. The 1930s Parallel. This is the most frightening part of Dalio's work. This isn't just theory. It's a direct comparison to history. The period from 1930 to 1945 is the last time all three of these waves peaked together. Look at the parallels. 1929 is 2008. The massive debt bubble bursts. The Great Depression begins. 1933 is 2009. The New Deal. Governments step in. Interest rates hit zero. They begin printing money, devaluing the dollar against gold to save the system. 1937 to 1941 is right now. This is the most dangerous phase. In the late 1930s, you had extreme political polarization in America. You had trade wars. You had a rising power in Germany challenging the old order in Europe, and a rising Japan challenging it in Asia. The internal and external conflicts, fueled by the economic crisis, were escalating. 1941 to 1945 is the Great Unraveling. This was the climax, the moment the internal and external conflicts could no longer be contained. World War II. The war was the final act that destroyed the old debt, destroyed the old conflicts, and forced the creation of a new world order at Bretton Woods in 1944. A new 80-year cycle began in 1945. Conclusion: the unraveling. So what is the great unraveling that Dalio believes we are in now? It is the decade, from roughly 2020 to 2030, where these three forces collide. It means this decade will be defined by high inflation, as the debt cycle must end by devaluing the currency. It means it will be defined by social and political instability, as the wealth gap tears society apart. And it means it will be defined by the highest risk of global conflict we have seen since World War II, as the world order is violently reshaped. Ray Dalio doesn't claim to predict the
simply
exact
pointing out
future.
that the
He's not a
80-year
fortune
clock
teller.
is striking
He's a
midnight.
historian of a machine. He's simply pointing out that the
rules of the last
80-year
50
clock
years
is
are
striking
breaking
midnight.
down.
The rules of the last 50 years are breaking down.
The
New World Order that was built in 1945 is unraveling right in front of us. The only question for this decade is, what will the next world order look like? And what will be the cost of building it?